For the fact that you came over here, somebody got it.
A little bit higher than a bit of trouble.
Between the two schools, they have won numerous Black College National Championships. But still, the fans think that their team is number one. And now, finally, at the Bank of America Atlanta Football Classic, you can settle the score. First up, we'll hear from legendary coach, and we can call him legend, Joe Taylor. Even though he is still coaching, his previous record is enough to put him in the Hall of Fame. So far this season, they have a 2-2 record, and this past weekend, they had a wonderful game in Delaware State that came down to the wire, but his young quarterback, Damian Fleming, was able to move his team down into Delaware State territory and hold on to the ball to run out the clock and get the victory. But his team this season goes up against what we will call the David of sorts, and Dawson Odums. He's the interim head coach at Southern University, but just like David, he was able to slew the big cat in the Tigers of Jackson State in his debut as interim head coach. Last year, this game started off as a Southern University rout, but as my sideline reporter Rashawn Ali always says, the Rattlers never die. You have to cut off their head, and they do what? Strike, and strike again. And the Rattlers were victorious, 38-33. So now we'll hear from Coach Taylor. He'll introduce his players and talk about his season and what they plan to do to win this year.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor for FAMU to come to Atlanta and participate in this great event. First of all, whenever you can be a part of an event that portions of the revenue will go towards disadvantaged and underprivileged kids here in Atlanta and provide scholarships for young people to move on to college, that within itself makes this a very outstanding event and honor for us to be a part of. We, first of all, know that Atlanta is a great recruiting bed. A lot of the people that, the coaches, they do a lot of recruiting here because it is a hotbed, and that also offers the universities that are participating an opportunity to continue to come to Atlanta and showcase that helps your recruiting efforts as well. So we appreciate being here. Before I introduce my players, usually it takes a new coach at least 1 year to turn around a program. History has already been made. Coach Odom turned the program around in 1 week. What an outstanding, and you really have to understand athletics to get your arms around just what he has done in just 1 week. And certainly we respect what he's done and really admire what he has done because that's not an easy chore. So we take our hats off to Coach Odom. We did some research on him. He's been around, and everywhere he's gone, he's produced. In fact, he was the defensive coordinator for Coach Alonzo Lee. Of course, Coach Lee was my first recruit when I got on the college level, and we won't say what year it was, but it does date back a few years, but he was the defensive coordinator. I called Coach Lee to get some information. I probably shouldn't have done that because I heard a lot of things I didn't want to hear about what this young man has done. So again, we congratulate you on what you've done to this point. The two players that I do have with me, one is Damian Fleming, who really got his first opportunity to step on the stage and do some great things for this program. We was, again, as mentioned earlier, we were struggling last year. In fact, we was down 33-17. And I know Coach has mentioned that to his players and probably shown the film to him too from last year. But we inserted Damian because we felt like we needed a shot in the arm, we needed a little boost. And he was able to come in as a true freshman and bring his team back to a 38-33 win, which was huge in this atmosphere, on this platform. But certainly he's special. We knew that. We're fortunate to have him in our program, and we just, because of him, we will be competitive. On the other side, Marvin Ross, he's a cornerback. That the only reason he's with us is because we need to have the other seniors to play the way he's been playing. He's done an outstanding job. Normally, whoever the top receiver is, that's going to be his responsibility. Because again, his work ethic is great, his talent level is there, and a lot of the NFL scouts on campus at every practice, and he's one of the reasons why. So those are the two young men that we have with us. And also, Ron Wilson, Sports Information, Ron Costin, I would call him Athletic Operations. Then I see the voice, the band's not here, but the voice of the band is, and Joe Bullock. Come on, legendary, that is legendary there, Joe Bullock. If you don't know him, you've probably been living under a rock. Because he's been the voice for so many years at a very high level. And with that in mind, again, we're just, again, honored to be here. We can't answer too many questions because we got to practice. We practice first in a little while. So again, we just thank you all for allowing us to be a part of this great event here in Atlanta.
Next, we'll hear from Dawson Odums. When you think about athletics, it's always good to finish strong. And in particular sports, teams change coaches just so they can finish. Jaguars started the season 0-2. The athletic director felt a change was needed. They made a change, and Dawson Odums stepped in, and voila, the Jaguars made a change. That change turned into a victory. Now the Jaguars are looking for their second consecutive victory, and that will be the first time in a number of years that they will win 2 in a row if they win in the Bank of America Atlanta Football Classic. Coach Odums has a long pedigree of coaching young men to bring them from high school to college and eventually to the pros, and he plans to do that with the Southern University football team. Coach Odums.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for having Southern University be a part of this wonderful event. We've been through some adversity, but once again, what I try to tell young men and tell the administration, that's our past. We live in the future, we live in the now. And the now is, thank you for having us to be a part of a classic that featured 2 great programs and a legendary coach, Joe Taylor, who I respect a whole lot. Actually, I was a player when Coach Taylor was coaching at Hampton. So we won't go back in years, but you know, you get a chance to shake a man's hand that's done so many great things. You got to value and appreciate that experience. And I take my hat off to a class guy. I'd like to say thank you to our athletic director, Dr. William Dessard, our SID, Chris Jones, and just thank those guys for coming up here and being a part. We have a great program. We have a great tradition, and you'll get a chance to experience that. Our fans are excellent. Atlanta is a great place for us to showcase a wonderful program. We have coaches that are here now that are coming here because of the young men that represent this city. And we're blessed to have a few of those young men a part of our program. I have some players that I brought with me, Chris Brown, Casey Northeast, Dre Joseph, and Levi Jackson. This program is built on a rock, and those guys are the rock that we stand upon. And it's exciting to see those young men grow and become better young men. When I extend my hand to the family and I recruit a young man, one thing I tell them, if you release them into my hands in 4 years, I will only promise you one thing, that I will do all I can to ensure that young man graduates, and when he comes back to you, he'll be a much better, productive citizen in society. And when I live by that, and I stand on what I believe in, and I believe in discipline, I believe in running a structured program, and I believe in holding young men accountable. What you're going to see from these young men is that exciting leadership. Our quarterback probably played his best game last week, Dre Joseph. Threw the ball excellent, made some great decisions. And that's what we expect from those young men. Levi Jackson is one of our safeties that made an outstanding hit to set the tempo in the Jackson State game. You are what you put on film. Your opponents are going to see what you put on film. And we like to put exciting things on film so that our opponents understand that one thing when they see us, we go play hard. Casey Northeast is a young man that I had the privilege to coach as a defensive line coach. And to see him grow up and become a leader, a captain, is an outstanding accomplishment on his behalf. Chris Brown, outstanding, already graduated. So he's in grad school. And these are the kind of young men that are going to be leading our country at some point in time, and we're excited to have them as a part of our football program. I just want to say thank you all. By no means are we just here to show up. By no means are we just here to play a football game. We're here to play a football game and transcend a city that needs our African American males to stand up and be accounted for. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, if members of the media have questions for the two head coaches, take it at this time.
Coach Taylor, what's changed since Nashville? I mean, you had a game, lost last second, receivers dropped a lot of balls. Are you better than you were then?
Well, the idea, what a coach always looks for, no way are you going to be as good in your first ball game as you are as you move forward. The more you go out and you get the quality reps between the lines, that's the difference. You come back, you evaluate the game, you evaluate the film, see where you can improve, and then you just go back to practice. And you really, I always tell people, you don't get in life what you expect, you get what you inspect. And we've been evaluating and seeing where we need to show off some things, and the work ethic is in place. So we hope to get better each week. And since that first ball game, I really see that we have improved each week.
Coach Taylor, you mentioned the halftime show and the absence, unfortunately, of the Marching 100 and Mr. Bullitt. Are you concerned at all that some of the excitement about the Classic may be missing because the band won't be there to perform?
Well, I've been asked that question quite a few times, not just here, but back on the campus. And we all know that HBCU football, it's football, it's tailgating, it's music. Long as, to me, if you have that element of music, because we are in an entertainment business, as long as that element of music is there, if they can hear any kind of music, they're going to be fine. And that's what they were concerned about our first ball game, is we had one of our largest crowds. Of course, Future was a part of that, and the old and new school. In fact, I had to get on my players because we want them to focus, and I'm looking over there at these guys. So, the bottom line is, players must take care of first, second, third, and fourth quarters, and whatever is surrounding that, we know will be entertaining.
So you think the halftime show that's planned will draw a crowd as well? Do you think it'll draw as much crowd as the Marching 100 might have?
Shaka's been drawing crowds a long time. And also Future. And the bottom line is, from what I've been reading, this might be the origination of a new trend. So, when the band returns, this still might be the way to go. Because it's entertainment. And people for 3-4 hours, it's important for them to come out, and no matter what's going on back home, they come out and have a good time. And that can be provided in a lot of different ways.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Odums, is your team looser than it was 2 weeks ago?
No, sir. I'd probably say it's tighter. Because I think when you go through certain situations, it brings you closer together. You learn to draw from each other's strengths and weaknesses. And, these guys are going to be held accountable. They're going to do necessary things for them to go out and compete in the football game. What we try to do is allow the young men to be young men, but understand it's a job that we're asking you to do, and we ask that you go out and do it to your fullest.
Coach Odums, what did you change at practice or in the game to make your team go from 0-2 to getting their first victory of the season?
Mindset. I really believe that it's the same team. Really, all we did on this team was change the leadership. And Coach Mitchell is still a big part of what we do. It's a great man, and we still draw from him. I meet with him constantly, trying to get some information to help me in moving forward. What we changed was the mindset of the young men. You got to understand, you're going to play how you practice. You are who you are when nobody's watching. And so we try to make sure that they understand that you got to go out and you got to hold each other accountable. Discipline is a big issue, and I demand that you be disciplined. We say hand on the line, not behind the line, we want it on the line. So we gotta make sure that we pay attention to the little things. And I believe if you take care of the little things, the big things will happen.
In 1880, three men united in a dream.
And that dream has changed lives and communities.
When we come together,
we can do powerful things.
Join us and continue in this journey.
We stand united with Southern University.